Hello everyone and welcome to another live Q&A. My name is Cedric Marin. I'm an immigration lawyer at Holth Immigration Law, and today I'll be taking all your questions about how to immigrate to Canada. So whether you're brand new to immigrating to Canada, it's always been a dream to come to Canada, or if you are into the process, you receive an express entry application, an invitation to apply for express entry, you have questions about PNPs, you have questions about what to do, I'm here to answer your questions. Now, keep in mind, everyone, it's just legal information. This is not legal advice. I'm simply trying to give information about immigration. If you do want legal advice, make sure to head on over to website Holth Immigration Law. I forgot to link it again. Sorry guys, been so busy just trying to come to jump on and help everyone. Here we go. So this is our website, Holth Immigration. Go at the top right here, speak with a lawyer, and then you can see here all our lawyers, Alicia, Chanel, and myself. I telework abroad, so if you're abroad and you want to learn about how to come to Canada, do not hesitate to reach out. This means that I'm most likely available in a better time zone compared to lawyers inside Canada. Now, I don't know what's happened to my chat. Let's just try to pull it up. I see everyone saying, Anish says, hi, good morning, Anish. Good morning. We have Barry has a question about LMIAs. And then we have Guli as well. We have Reet. Good morning, everyone. Let's get this show on the road. Let's get this show on the road. And where's my chat? Sorry, guys. I've been having technical issues the last few live Q&As. I see your comments. I want to put them on the screen. Oh my god, Binam, already another question. Guys, keep posting your questions like rapid fire today. Let's get through as many questions as possible. What is going on? Guys, I'm an immigration lawyer. I'm not a web developer. I'm not a video editor. I try to do my best, and I can't wait to get to these questions once I figure out where are my questions? Oh, there we go. We made it work. Fantastic. All right. Well, once again, I always love learning, where you're joining me from. Good morning, Anish. Good morning to everyone in Canada. If you're abroad, good evening, good afternoon. Who knows where you're at? We have Ricard says, hello, smiling. Hello to you too, Reet. And let's get straight to the question. So we will talk about express entry. We'll talk about the different streams. There are invitations to apply. We expect actually a draw happened. We were expecting a draw to happen yesterday for the ITA. Now we're waiting for this to be updated to see if a draw took place. Sometimes a little bit slow, or sometimes it doesn't necessarily update right away. It's possible that they might have skipped a draw, but I really hope. Whoops, personal emails. I was looking for my work emails here to go take a look to see whether or not our clients have received any recent ITAs. In any event, keep posting your questions and let's get right to it. So yeah, I was a few minutes late, guys. I do apologize for that. All right, so let's get right to it. Let's get right to it. So we have here Barry says, what is the cost for a Lima? I assume, Barry, you're talking about LMIA. So actually on our website, you can learn more about how to immigrate, how to study, how to work, business, immigration, and so on. But one thing that we do differently is that we do actually have all our fees. So we're Canadian immigration lawyers. We're not consultants. We've all went to school for 4 years. Myself, I have a master's of law, so it's about at least 6 years of law school. And we're all licensed lawyers in our respective provinces inside Canada, which mean that we're allowed to practice law. So we have our immigration consultants, so consultations. So if you want to speak about your file, talk about strategy, have us review your application, we're more than happy to help, and we can discuss how to help you. We prepare applications. We have our fees here for permanent residents. We have work study fees, rejected applications. So I focus on rejected applications. If you've received a rejection, you have 15 days if you're inside Canada. If you're outside Canada, you have 60 days for a rejection to go to the federal court. So super important. Don't forget about that. the question is, what do we charge for an LMIA? We don't have the fees here on our website. The reason why is because this is for individual immigration. So if you were looking for a work permit, if you're looking for, like as an individual, this is usually the individual fees. For the business immigration, so if you want an LMIA, you need to book a consult and we can talk about your LMIA. So if you're a business and you want to do an LMIA, we usually charge anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 to help you prepare the LMIA. If you're a large company, you're looking to hire 10, 20, 30 individuals through an LMIA, you might have high volume in terms of work permits, right? And so we can definitely look at to see how we can help you with the LMIA, but also getting work permits for those individuals on the LMIA. So do book a consult if you're a business. If you're an individual, the LMIA, you need to keep in mind that it's a employer-driven process. The employer is the one who is going to prove to the government they can't hire a Canadian or a PR. It is not something that you can just do yourself, get an LMIA through the government and whatnot. It's going to be a business. They want to hire you. The business might already have an LMIA and they want you to come to Canada. All right. Well, there we have it. Binam says, Cedric, is it normal to get response for IRCC in 15 days for study permit? Binam, it really depends. A study permit renewal inside Canada, we know that it's being processed with computers to accept it, like 97% acceptance for study permit renewals. It takes like 24 hours, I think, or 48 hours. It's super, super quick. But if you're outside Canada, making a study permit for the first time, yeah, it can definitely take more than 15 days. I think a lot of them are looking at 4 to 8 or even 12 weeks right now for study permits, but your visa office, Binab, might be quicker. But if you're asking because you have a January term coming up, I really don't think it's going to work, but you can definitely try best. All right, guys, next question. Reed says, can a person work on HV work permit in Canada, apply for visa with his family without IELTS? Read very specific question. Can a person who HV? What do you mean by HV? I'm sorry, Reed, I'm not familiar with that acronym. Generally speaking, you need to prove that you can do the job, and so to prove that you do the job, you might have to do an English test, you might have to do a French test. Your family sometimes, depending on your situation, they might be able to accompany you and them as well get open work permits. It really depends. I'm sorry, I can't give you more details. We have Lima says, good morning, Cedric. Well, good morning to you, Lima, as well. IRB Fox says, again, I'm trying to get through these as quickly as we can, guys. Please ask me your questions. I want to really do like back-to-back questions today, really answer all the questions you have, make this as helpful for you guys. Hello, Cedric. I got my first portal 2 days ago. From the email response. Do you know if there is a specific time frame that I can expect the login info for the confirmation of PR? Got my first portal 2 days ago. It's the portals are really, it really depends. I had a portal issue as well. It can take, I'm still trying to figure it out now a few months later. But here, sorry, just to answer your question, I don't know. I really don't know, IRB Fox. I'm sorry. I don't know. IRCC is constantly changing. There's the MyGC key account, work permit, express entry, study permits. Now there's the PR portal, right? There's the TR to PR portal as well that they rolled out. Then you have the representative portals. They're definitely working hard to make it all online, so that's great to see. But I'm sorry, it's so inconsistent in terms of portals. All right, Anish says, do you think there's going to be an extension for postgraduate work permits expiring after December? We'll see. A lot of chatter this year about it because the minister announced it, I think in May or June, and then only released the actual details back in August. So people between June and August were speculating, a lot of chatter about postgraduate extensions. But I think what we're going to see is more and more TR to PR programs. And I'm not talking about like what happened last year with 10, 20, 30,000 TRs, temporary residents. For those of you just joining us, temporary resident individuals like work permit and study permit applying for PR. I don't think we're going to see that, but what has been confirmed are going to be changes to existing programs and also change like new programs like municipal PNPs, where a city can decide what type of immigrants they want inside of their their city and issue invitations or nominations. So we're going to see some small changes to programs. I don't think we're going to see another postgraduate extension. You have a few options. If you already applied for PR, you might be able to get a bridging open work permit. If you have a nomination from a province, you might be able to get a regulation 204 work permit. You might be able to get, you might be, if you speak French, you might be able to get an open work permit because you speak French if an employer gives you a job offer. So, Anish, you might have to get a little bit creative, but question for you is, do you have enough points for express entry? Can you apply for express entry of the Canadian experience class, right? Let's go take a look here. And you've been in Canada. I really hope your postgraduate work permit was for more than 1 year. So we always recommend at least a 2-year study program for a 3-year work permit to allow you to get additional points. But do you meet the eligibility to have at least 1 year of full-time Canadian work experience, right, in a skilled tier, O1, 2, or 3? Right? My question for you, and if so, can you apply for the Canadian Experience class? Obviously, this is something that we have experience doing, and we do prepare applications, right? We work with clients to meticulously review the documents, to review the entries in the Express entry, and make sure that it works, that to lower the chance of rejection. And again, we never make any guarantees. And anyone who makes guarantees who says, hire me, I guarantee you're gonna get your express entry or PR, it's illegal and it's completely wrong, right? Well, what we do is we properly prepare applications. We try to look for mistakes. We compare it to the instructions, to the law, and to make sure that we have a strong application that meets all the requirements to lower the chance of rejection. All right, Hamza Triki says, good morning from Tunisia. Hamza, good morning. I think you've already joined us, but I did work in Tunisia. I worked in Zarzis for a year with the UNHCR interviewing refugees. So Tunisia always has a special place in my heart. Ero Mini says, hi Cedric, hi to you. Iromini says, hello Iromini. If you have a question, Iromini, let's do it. If not, if you're just saying hi, nice to meet you as well. All right. Do you think there's a pause on yesterday's draw for a CRS 489? Really frustrating. You know what? There could be. I had a client who was expecting to have an express entry draw to receive the ITA yesterday, and we have yet to receive it. But it's possible. It could also be that with the changes they made to tier and the knock, it's possible that they decided to right? There could be issues to do it today, to do it tomorrow, or they're still in the process of setting up the ITAs. We don't know. But Express Entry is not going anywhere. It's Canada's flagship PR way to get skilled migrants who have work experience, who have education, who are who want to come to Canada, So if it's not tomorrow, or if it's not next week, it's definitely in 2 weeks from now. And it is frustrating, but let's keep in mind that more and more applications are being decided in that 6-month range, and it's really, really exciting news. That a client actually just reached out today saying, listen, he applied 3 weeks ago, and he's already done his medicals have been passed. He's already had his biometric request letter. So this tells us that most likely already through to the completeness check, and that his application is being processed much quicker than we expected. So more and more processing is happening quickly. And Hamza, I really, really hope that sooner or later it does happen. We have IRB Fox says it's the PR portal, but that's okay. Thanks for trying to help. Yeah, IRB Fox, I've worked with the PR portal, just most recently submitting a PNP application for Manitoba with a client, and hopefully it's going to be sooner than later. You say here, do you know if there's a specific time frame that can be expected? Expect the log in info for the confirmation of PR. It's tough. I mean, I really hope it's within 30 days, but here I'm just speculating IRB Fox, and I just want to try to help. I don't want to lead people down other holes. BNM says, winning fully sponsored scholarship, is it increased visa success rate? Interesting question. I mean, possibly a little bit, but possibly not. I mean, you need to have, right, proof of tuition, proof you can support yourself, right, inside Canada. You have to show it's going to be a temporary intent, right? Why are you coming to Canada to study? Why can't you study in your home country, right? Why are you so this temporary intent is going to be quite difficult for a lot of applicants to prove that they're just coming to Canada with a temporary basis. I don't think it would really make a difference. I've never had someone with a fully funded scholarship, like everything paid for, right? You still have to prove you're going to go back to your country, and there are those immigration requirements. So to be honest, I don't. I think it has a neutral impact on your application. Might have a slightly good impact, but if you've never left your country, you have no ties to your country, or even if you've ever overstayed a visa, or if you have other visa refusals, whether or not it's fully funded or not, I mean, it's not going to satisfy immigration authorities that you're gonna leave Canada, right? So we'll just leave it at that. Micha says hello, and again, we just provide general information. I just provide general information. I don't know the specifics of your case. I don't know, Binam, you might have come to Canada 30 times already, have great ties, and this is the final piece. But whether you have a fully funded scholarship or the letter of acceptance, you still need a letter of acceptance, right? All right, let's get to these questions. Sebastian, nice to see you, Sebastian. Welcome. Hi, Cedric. Back in April, IRCC said they will process express entry applications for CEC within 6 months. However, IRCC website says their expected process to be 20 months. Did that change? Excellent, excellent question, Sebastian. So if you allow me, I just want to switch over and show everyone the delay on the IRCC website. So here we can go to economic immigration. We can go to CEC, and ta-da, 20 months. It's come up, it's come down, but 20 months is what you're looking at. So what happened is that during COVID, a lot of the visa officers abroad were called back to Canada, and a lot of the visa offices closed. I mean, you guys know this. And what happened is sometime this year, they said, okay, all the applications that we've received during COVID, we're going to put them in a COVID pile, right? And we're going to dedicate officers to go through it and decide it. But what we're going to try to do is new applications that are now coming in, we're going to put them into normal processing and really try hard to have it under 6 months. And this was confirmed by the Minister Sean Fraser confirmed this, that he's trying to get the department back down to under 6 months. I mean, you want to come to Canada, right? You want to come work and live and pay taxes. Who doesn't want to pay taxes? But on the same time, Canada, right, can't fall behind. Right. If you're not coming to Canada, well, another country like Australia or England or France or even the United States, right, that's where you might immigrate, and Canada might lose out. So they also have that competitive interest to get that processing to under 6 months. Now, you know what? I can't tell you, Sebastian. I can't tell you and say, listen, submit your application under 6 months. You can get your PR card, no problem. Right? Because the website says that it's 20 months. But I think what we're seeing is increasingly existing clients or other people who submit applications, but we know who have existing clients submit applications, and I think we're looking at six to 12 months. We've had some applications approved in 4 months. Some have taken more than a year, right? So it's really hard to say, but I think that just between me and you, off the record, if you will, not making any guarantees, I think it's reasonable to think that it's going to be around 6 to 12 months, even if the website here says 12. All right, Prashant Sean Zhu says, is it possible to immigrate to Canada any path, any province, age 40, 3 to 4 years work experience, CLB 9 in IELTS? Wow, we have your French test, NCLC 9 in TEF, master's degree without LMIA. It absolutely is. You absolutely can. And well, I mean, there's a possibility, but I think you have a really good shot. And I think what we should do is we might have other questions like you, not necessarily with as strong as a profile, but you have a perfect profile, so let's take a look at it. And if you're still with us, Prashant, feel free to comment and help me fill these questions. If you're not with us, it's no problem. I'm just going to fill in the gaps here. So our marital status, I'm going to assume that you are single. And the reason why is because it's just going to ask us less information. But if you're married, let me know, Prashant, in the next 5-10 seconds, and I'll put married here. All right, let's just keep going. How old are you? So you're age 40. All right, so you are going to lose some points because of your age. 29 is the soft spot in terms of age. And now what is your level of education? So here, immigrate to Canada, any pathway. You mentioned a master's degree, but I don't know if it's Canadian or not. But you know what? We're just going to say that you've received educational credential assessment. And single, all right, single, fantastic. So here I'm going to say that you've obtained an educational credential assessment, and we're going to put master's degree. And then we're going to assume that you've never come to Canada, so you don't have a Canadian degree. So we're going to put no, and then official languages. Here we're going to put yes, and then your first language we're going to put which one's strongest. So you're both telling me they're nines, so it doesn't matter. Again, here it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to put this in as the equivalent of a CLB 9, and then here you have other results. You're telling me yes. You have a equivalent of a 9, so I'm just going to give you the highest points here. After 9, you really don't get any additional more points. This Indian Masters, fantastic. Again, we're going to have to get that in educational credential assessments as a document that you have to get. If you just Google IRCC, educational credential assessment, it must be from an organization. There's specific forms that they want. So the World Education Services, it has to be for IRCC, right, for immigration purposes. Take a look here, work experience. So you see 3 or 4 years experience. I'm going to assume that it's skilled work experience. So I'm assuming you're working in a skilled or semi-skilled. So it could be they made some small changes recently. So it could be, stuff like accountants, auditors, engineers, lawyers, but skilled work experience. You have 3 years. Oh, this is Canadian, sorry. We're going to put none. And then you have more than 3 years of skilled work experience. Certification here, we're talking about, something that can be issued from a trade and pass a certification exam. We're just going to put no. Here, this is the LMIA question. Keep in mind, you need a job offer, right? I literally just got off a call. And this is why I was late, about someone saying, oh no, I have my LMIA, I got my 50 points. I said, whoa, do you have your job offer? And they said, what? I don't need a job offer. You 100% need a job offer. All right, let's keep going here. Certification from a province. So civil engineer, fantastic. Thank you for confirming. So here we're going to put so here usually the certificates you have to go to the province to be assessed. We're just going to put no. Again, not the same as a nomination. We're just going to put no. Civil engineer, there might be a certification, but most likely have to already be in Canada to write the test. So here's not a nomination or a certificate. We're going to put no as well. Here we're going to put siblings. You can get a few additional points here if you have any siblings in Canada. We're going to put no as well. And then we're going to go ahead and click calculate score. And this gives us a score of 495. So Prashach, I would say your chances are pretty good to immigrate to Canada through express entry. So a few things. So this could actually increase your score. And I don't think we made any other assumptions. If you really have, this is where you're getting a lot of points, is your French test. So I hope, if you have a French test, I mean, you're doing super well. You're getting a lot of points. You can actually take a look here at the breakdown. See, French language skills, you get 50 points, but you're also getting points for your second official language. It's giving you an extra 75 points for your express entry application. So assuming your birthday, you lose 5 points for your birthday, you're still in the 490. Now, we did talk about how it looks like they skipped a round of invitation recently, but when they resume, the last draw was 491. Right, so with a score of 495, you have a good chance of receiving an ITA at the next express entry draw. Now, we work with our clients to review documents, make sure the applications are properly prepared. That is what we do best, is review applications for clients. And again, we're immigration lawyers, and we have done this many, many times. And I'm just going to encourage you, Prashant, to go over to this link here. It's called Applications for Permanent Residence, subject to express entry, and this talks about all the requirements you need. Translation, super, super important. So translation package must include the source document and a translation, either stamped by the translator or referred to in an affidavit. And then we have many other, sorry, just one moment. Sorry, I thought someone was maybe here at my door. And then here we have more things that you're going to need. So obviously you need medical examination. You have to obtain police certificates. So anywhere you live for more than 6 months. We talk a lot about this on our live Q&A. And I think I've answered your question. No siblings, fantastic. I think I answered your question, but definitely take a look at this application. And anyone can put information to a profile, and where our expertise our expertise really comes in is reviewing documents. Do you have a proper birth certificate? Is the marriage certificate the marriage certificate, or is it a copy of a registration? Is it not the proper marriage certificate? So this is what we do with our clients: is we look at the supporting documents, we look at the information to make sure that you have a good application. And once again, we are Health Immigration Law. Head over to our website to learn more about express entry and to speak with a lawyer. It's really the first step. To book a consult here at the bottom with me, to go over your application, and here you can see the different times, the different availability, and here you can change it based on where you're at. It's going to give you the different times. So if you're and here you can go ahead and book a consult. So if you're in Ojni Naja, you're going to be speaking with me in the morning because I am teleworking. But if you're in Qatar, whether it's for the World Cup or if you live in Qatar, you can see here the times I'm available during the day to speak with you. So, yeah. So listen, I mean, there's a whole other issue of admissibility, right? Have you committed criminal infractions? Have you already had previous refusals for fraud, right? Are you medically admissible to Canada? So other issues to talk about, but generally speaking, Prashant, you're on the good track to immigrate to Canada. You have a quite high of a CRS score. All right, Fernando, study permits. How do you deal with immigration concerns relating to the intention to study in Canada rather than permanent residence when degree being complete is Canadian specific? Excellent question. So head over on here and go to our blogs, Fernando, and if you scroll down, if you just type your student, we have quite a bit of stuff on student permits, student applications, and what I'm most interested in is, I guess this is not working. What I'm most interested in is there's a blog about the top 10 reason for visa study refusals that was written by Alicia, which is quite popular. And there we go, top 10 reasons for Canada visa refusals, and one of them that we're interested in is going to be talking about if you've already submitted a PR application. But another one is going to be about your field of study, right? So what you need to do is really prove a logical connection between your education and your career. Why are you coming to Canada? Why is it going to be a different field? Is it in the same field? But most importantly, you also need to demonstrate why you're coming to study in Canada. Why can't you study inside your country? Does Canada offer a better program? Do they not offer this program inside of your country? And if so, if you can have any proof, like for example, you've contacted the university to ask about a program, you've done your research, your employer has written to you and said, go get this program, and if you do, we're going to give you, a better job, right? These are all things that you can include inside of your application, but it's highly like case specific, right? Wait, what's your country? What's your program? What university are you applying to? It's much more case specific. All right. Goalie says, we are planning for Canada, but I've been in the UK for 4 years. Do you have a question, Goalie? I might have missed it. I might have missed it. I don't know if this program here captures all my questions. Let's go take a look at the YouTube. So unfortunately, I don't see a question, but feel free to ask away if you do have a question. All right, amongst us, our regular on here says, "Hi Cedric, how are you? Can you elaborate on your aforementioned client whose application is processed quickly?" All right, amongst us, I talked about, I think, two of them. So we don't share solicitor client information, so like names and stuff like that. We obviously don't share, but we do talk about general applications and whatnot. So yeah, there is a client of mine. We've worked together to prepare an express entry federal skilled workers, and I was really surprised to see how quickly it was processing. I know the question that was asked earlier was about CEC, but for the federal skilled worker, they already passed the completeness check, their medicals are approved, and they got a request for biometrics within a month. And that is exceptionally quick. It's super quick. I actually shared it with my colleagues. I said, hey guys, what's going on? Why is this so quick? So and I think, to be honest, it would be wrong to say, it's because, it's because of us or it's because they work with a lawyer. I don't think that's the case. What I can tell you is that the application is well prepared, right? We work together to redo birth certificates, to get them reissued by countries, to make sure there's color copies, to make sure everything is translated, to meticulously explain every possible inconsistency so that there's no additional document requests. It doesn't get refused for, a small thing that was missed, and that it continues the processing. So I can't, I can't, I can't comment more than that. But I was really impressed to see how quickly it was processing. And Mark did another video maybe about a month ago on a spousal PR application that was approved within 4 months. And so, again, nothing to do with submitting an application that says Health Immigration Law. They're not going to prioritize your case or anything like that. That's not true. But what is true is that when you have a well-prepared applications, you paid all the fees up front, you've explained any possible thing that might come to the attention of the immigration officer, whether or not you work with a lawyer, right, or a consultant, it does make it a little bit smoother. In terms of not having, again, I'm repeating myself, but not having the additional document requests or rejections for lack of documents. So a properly prepared application is super important. And as we see, the CRS score is so high, the draws are sometimes inconsistent, but it's super, super important to have a well-prepared application. I can't stress that enough. I showed the link for the completeness check. Read that in detail. It's so important. I hope that answers your question amongst us. And again, nothing to do with working with Health Immigration compared to submitting it with somebody else. Just more to do that when you have a well-prepared application, you have a good chance of having the application approved on the first shot instead of having all these requests which delay the application. All right, Preet says, do you think the draws will come down to 483 anytime soon? Probably in the next 3 months, 2 or 3 months. But we're also going to see occupation-specific draws, so stay posted. All right. Prasuna says, my PNP officer says they're not able to submit 600 points on IRCC portal. Any thoughts on this? I don't know what you mean by PNP officer. Are you talking about like someone who works for like a provincial government? It's possible. So some PNPs are non-express entry based. So some PNP applications, you have to apply under what's called the provincial nominee class. So if you Google PNP, PR provincial nominee, there's a specific application. So you take your nomination from the province, right, the certificate, and you go to IRCC and you submit an application under the provincial nominee class, right? And oops, my computer is lagging. Yeah, there we go. And before you apply, right? So you need to establish that you're gonna, live there, but you need to actually get a nomination. Does it tell us? Nomination, does it tell us? Oh, I mean, obviously it's gonna tell us at some point. Regulated occupations, Canadian credentials, blah, blah, blah. All right, biometrics, using representative, gather the documents, right? You could open the checklist here, which obviously I've done, and you'll see here that one of the requirements is that you have your confirmation of nomination. So some PNP programs, pursuing, you have to get the nomination and then you apply for PR. It's not good for express entry. Express entry, this is when we talk about 600 points. It's express entry. All right, Don. Hi, aviation management, digital marketing, and business management are subject areas that I'm passionate about. Do you recommend me to study, easy to find jobs, and obtain PR in Canada? So, Don, keep in mind, I'm an immigration lawyer, right? So we don't advertise jobs, nor do I, have a Rolodex of jobs that I can just, say, call up and say, here are some jobs, because you hired us or whatnot. It's not how it works at all. Well, as I mentioned, we help to properly prepare applications. Now, so I can't comment about how easy it's going to be to find a job in one of these 3 subject areas. It also depends on location, provinces, your previous experience and whatnot. But what I can tell you is that if you come to Canada and study for at least 2 years, you're going to have be able to apply for what's called a post-graduation work permit. And a post-graduation work permit, it varies in length, but if you study for 2 or more years, you can get a 3-year work permit. And it's an open work permit. So for the following 3 years, you can work in Canada and for any job, and then the idea is to then transition to permanent residence. In practice, you're going to want to work at a job that's a tier 0, 1, 2, or 3, and to qualify for express entry, under the Canadian Experience class. And you're going to see the minimum requirements to apply for PR. And then we talked about CRS points. So depending on your areas of subject, right, your Canadian diploma, where you work, you could apply for PR. So yeah, it's really up to you as to whether or not you want to pick Canada, but you could again. There's requirements for the post graduation work permit. It has to be as a designated learning institute, full time. A lot of other caveats, but there is a program where you can go from working to PR, and that's what a lot of people do. I think it's something like 70 or 60 or 70% of applicants were doing prior to COVID is this study work PR route. So yeah, anywhere between the quickest could be 3, 4 years, 5 years for your PR is probably what you're looking at. All right. Hey, Cedric, what's the current timeline for bridging open work permit? I received my AOR post-graduation expiring in January. Thanks. So keep in mind that we have what's called maintained status. Here it is. So if a temporary resident is authorized to work, so if you have a current work permit and before it expires, you apply for another work permit, you may qualify as maintained status, which allows you to continue working until they make a decision on your work permit. So the bridging open work permit, very specific requirements. Make sure you look it up. We can actually do that together. Make sure you look it up, but very specific requirements, right? Having your AOR, your postgraduate work permit, and so on. Very, very specific requirements. We take a look here, your permanent residence using express entry. Make sure you follow this to the letter, to the T, right? Provide, your current work permit, show that you got your AOR, right? Show that you currently have an application, super, super important. And if you apply before it expires, you may have maintained status that allows you to work to get your bridging open work permit. Now you're asking me specifically, what is the timeline? Oops. Let's go take a look here. So this is going to tell us, and again, some applications pre-COVID, post-COVID, but I think generally speaking, for work permits, they're all being grouped together. It's for work permits inside Canada. Yeah, you're in a post-grad, so you're inside Canada, right? It's 168 days. Paper is lower, but this is exceptional. You pretty much have to apply online. So there it is, but it could be quicker. It could be quicker. It could be longer, but I think this is generally accurate. But yeah, you're going to be on maintained status if you apply before it expires, and off you go. All right, Fantasy Club says, whew, sorry guys, I know I'm speaking quickly, but I'm just trying to get to all these questions, and I see there are so many questions. I don't know if I can get to all of them, but I'm going to try my best. So how long does it take to get spouse visa right now? So if we're talking about spousal sponsorship to come to Canada, it depends if you're inside or outside Canada. That's going to be a determining factor in terms of the application. But we've seen some inside Canadas being processed as quickly as 4, 5, 6 months. But I think the official time is still well over a year for spousal PR. If you're talking about applying for a visa because you have a work permit and you want your spouse to have a work permit, that's possible as well. But those are, and then we're looking at, okay, what was the visa office, and all that stuff. So it's if you're talking about the PR, we talked about it. If you're talking about spousal, that's gonna be a little bit different. All right, weird question. There are many news reports lately of massive exodus of Canadians leaving for political and taxation reasons. Do you foresee this positively impacting immigration to Canada easier in the near future? So listen, super interesting question. I'm an immigration lawyer, and I want to give advice, immigration information today about how to immigrate to Canada, right, on the more technical side. So, I'm looking for people who want to come to Canada, and to be honest, I don't necessarily want to comment on the current status of Canada. I obviously love Canada. I love the country, and I pay a lot of taxes, but it goes to hospitals, it goes to schools, it goes to people who need it, and it comes back to us in many, many different ways. So, I don't know too much about this massive exodus. I'm not too sure about that, but really whether or not you love Canada is going to have to do with your previous country. Where did you previously live? What was your quality of life? And does this match the same quality of life in Canada, right? If you come from a country that has is very different in terms of quality of life, Canada might be fantastic, right? You might love it, or you might hate it. Who knows, right? This is a really, really personal question, and I'm not necessarily sure there's a massive exodus, but listen, we'll just leave it at that. Is signed proof of Ontario landlord that I reside outside of Quebec sufficient, or should I get a sublease? Thanks. Signed proof from Ontario landlord that I reside outside of Quebec sufficient, or should I get a sublease? Lima, I don't know how you could. What do you mean like if sublease? Like you have to prove. Well, you don't have to, but I strongly recommend that Express Entry is a program that does not apply to Quebec. So if you apply for Express Entry and you live inside Quebec, the officers are going to be thinking, okay, does this person really have the intention to live outside Quebec? And the best way to minimize that risk is to actually just leave Quebec. Leave Quebec before you do your Express Entry application if your true intention is to stay and reside outside of Canada. All right, eligible for PR, goalie. Listen, overstayed in the UK. Yeah, I think you had a few other questions, and it's tricky. It could be a factor, right? So you, in terms of inadmissibility, but PR is a permanent resident status, and it's really case by case dependent about what really happens. So I'm sorry, but it's really hard to answer your question. Like overstaying sometimes does not have an impact on permanent resident applications. Sometimes it does. Prasan guys, recently got nominated from province for Express Entry PNP. Yeah, we talked about your casing. The officer says they can't give you the 600 points. I mean, I think you need to book a consult. We need to talk in detail about what's going on here, because this is not common at all. This is not common at all. It could be that it's the wrong information, but really it's a case by case basis. Ejiro says, is the federal skills program totally different from provincial programs? Yes. So each of the provinces has their own PNPs, their own provincial nominee programs, where they can nominate individuals that they can then issue certificates to come to Canada, right? These are called provincial nominations. And then we have the federal skilled worker program for Express Entry, right? And federal skilled worker program for Express Entry, but more broadly, we also have just federal skilled programs that economic class. Take a look here. So the wording is really important, but yeah, we have federal skilled workers, which is a program, and then that's divided into many other programs. I'm not sure if that answers your question. Sorry, here you said nomination. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there we go. So that's exactly it. So federal skilled worker program is a federal express entry program, and then you have provincial nominees, who provincial nominees can can nominate someone, and they have their own requirements. For that. All right, we are approaching the end of the live Q&A, guys. I'm gonna take a last few questions here. Again, we are Holf Immigration Law. Head over to our website here at the very top. We have tons of content. So our lawyers write all of these blogs on our website. We have more information about how to immigrate, study, work, speak with a lawyer if you want case-specific advice. I focus on express entry and on rejected applications is what I do. And yeah, we do use Restream. That was a misclick. Well, there we go. This is the law. I was just looking into these programs. Let's get right to your question. All right. Hi, Cedric. What are the differences between primary and secondary visa offices for PR applications? Yeah, so you more complex cases can go to secondary visa offices, if for further processing, and it happens for criminality sometimes, or other reasons for inadmissibility, or it might also do with IRCC working around with the applications to manage inventories to make sure that every office is busy. We have so it's hard to comment on that specific case. Hi, thank you for your mail. What can I do? My medical's yet to be updated for my PR application for about 1 year. You're most likely going to receive an email asking you to redo your you're most likely going to receive an email that's going to be asking you to, or notification or letter asking you to redo your medicals. I mean, some clients that I've spoken to have already went ahead and sometimes redo their medicals and resubmit them because they know it's going to be coming. But in some cases, right, they might also just reject the application and not even ask for medicals. So right now, unfortunately, you could maybe make a web form to IRCC and tell them, what should I do? Should I redo my medicals? It's really up to you. MD Alam says, I'm a cook. I have some cooking experience for 7 years. I have certificate. Well, that's fantastic, MD Alam. You might be looking into what's called the Federal Skilled Trades. So we don't talk a lot about this program because it's a little bit more technical. But if you have at least 2 years of work experience within the 5 in a skilled work experience, this recognizes cooks as well at the very bottom here. You must show that you meet the lead statement, right? And you must also have after you've been qualified to independently practice the occupation. So take a look at this, right, for the eligibility. And if you think you qualify, make a profile. There are non-program specific draws, right, that happen with a high CRS score. But usually before COVID, there was at least once or two that had these skilled worker draws specific for skilled worker. We have here saying no offense intended. No problem. Yeah, your question about Exodus of Canadians. I mean, I guess it depends. I mean, uh, no offense taken. No problem. I mean, I do monitor Reddit. I monitor Twitter. I am on other blogs as well, looking at what people are saying about Canada, and my conclusion is, people have different experiences. We all have different lives, and you might come to Canada and not like it. You might come to Canada and love it. I think we're doing pretty well though in terms of jobs, work, healthcare. I think there's obviously always room to improve, but I think we're not doing we're doing pretty well. Hi Cedric, what can be done when you cannot do medicals for one of your dependents? Oof, tricky, tricky. So this usually arises in custody issues. Um, so it can happen, and it can get tricky. Like, what efforts have you made to get a medical exam for one of your dependents, right? If it's because the other spouse is refusing to do it, it can get a little bit tricky. Um, the visa officers do have like the authority to like exempt individuals from this requirement, but it's not necessarily used frequently. It's quite tricky, and in fact, I probably recommend you book a consult to go over your various options. But it definitely comes with risk of being rejected or being found inadmissible because one of your family members is inadmissible. So, if it's a custody issue, can you get it resolved? Right? What other efforts can you make to show that you really tried to get this sorted out? But it's definitely tricky. Sir, do you deal with study visas? We do. And if you learn more about our approach here on our website, what we want is we are immigration lawyers, and you're only going to deal with an immigration lawyer. We're not going to send you off to an assistant. We're not going to send you off to a law clerk or paralegal that's going to do the work. So what we do is you can learn more about our way that we work with you, but we essentially ask you to do a first draft of the documents. We obviously tell you what documents you need. We ask you to do a first draft, and then we review the documents together. So you're not just going to sit back, and we're not going to apply to schools for you. We're not going to submit all the forms, but we really want to work with you, right? And we're focused on helping you get this application correctly prepared. You can read more about our fees, our blogs, and how to study inside Canada. It's all on our website. All right, guys. Do apologize. I should probably get a glass of water. My throat does hurt a bit. We've been talking really quick, but unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get to all of today's questions. I'm really doing my best to do so, but I'm not sure we're going to get to all of today's questions, but we can try. All right. I receive a communication from IRCC that I passed my medicals. How long does it take to get PR after medicals? Listen, it really depends by visa office. It really, really depends. Some offices are much quicker than others. Some are taking more time. It really, really depends. But generally speaking, it's a good step. It means that things are progressing well. It means that you may get your passport request relatively soon. Fingers crossed. Anything can happen. That's what we've learned this year. All right, guys. I think this is going to be our last question today. I can try to speed through the last questions here quickly. It's been 2 months for adding spouse, non-accompanying to accompanying post passport requests. Just received cancellation email from IRCC, and now 2 months gone, no updates. Is this normal? What do you mean? What do you mean receive cancellation email from IRCC? Like if your spouse is non-accompanying when you apply, and you change them to accompanying after you apply, but before you receive a decision, it's tricky. They can reassess your application. They can reassess with your spouse the application, and they can then recalculate your CRS score. And if you drop below the cutoff, they can reject your application. I'm not sure if I completely understand your question, but generally speaking, 2 months after an update, if you haven't received anything, no news is good news, but it does take them time sometimes to get back to those applications. More than 2 months, especially with COVID, it's possible. All right, how much time for tourist visa? We want to celebrate our 10-year anniversary together. Take a look at the delay here, right? So you're applying for temporary residence, for a visitor visa from outside Canada. Pick your country. We're going to take Madagascar. Oh, I don't know if this is going to work. Oh, no, it does work. Great, 103 days. Well, there we go. That's how long it takes. Some take longer, some take shorter. It's really hard to tell you the information. Your fantasy club says apply for spousal visa 2021. My wife lives in Canada, applied for me from Canada. How long does it take to get the visa? We're going to contact about this. Again, it's going to be on this website here, right? So go permanent residence. No, it's non-economic. So this is family sponsorship, spouse inside Canada, 14 months. So you can also get a work permit. Don't forget about the work permit. You can apply for an open work permit. Again, I'm going speeding through these questions here. And if you go on legal help, we have mandamus applications. So if your application has an unreasonable delay, you can go to federal court and ask a judge to issue an order. A little bit expensive, but if you think that IRCC is taking their time and it's an implied refusal, definitely something to do. Sir, what is visa possibility in Cape Breton University? I have no idea. It's more about you. What is your immigration experience, right? Have you ever been to Canada? Can you leave Canada at the end of your stay? What are your links to your country? How old are you? Does the program make sense in your career? It's much more about you than it is about the university when we talk about visa acceptance. Hi, was there any draw yesterday? When can we expect one? I don't know. I have at least 2 clients waiting for ITAs. Haven't received any update for them. It's possible they skipped a week. It's possible they skipped 2 weeks. Maybe the next draw is in January. We don't know. But hang in there, guys. It could be a big draw. It could be a small draw. Express entry, as I mentioned, Canada's flagship immigration to Canada. So it's possible that express entry is still a thing. It's just a matter of it's this week, next week, or next month. No CC draw yesterday, Pavneet. Yeah, sorry. It's unfortunate. Widely expected to have one, but no, but it could be next week or the week after. And listen, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. My name is Cedric Marin. I'm a Canadian immigration lawyer. I telework abroad. I work for Holth Immigration Law. If you do want to reach out, don't hesitate. Go over here, speak to a lawyer, and you can go ahead here and book a time. You can learn more about all the areas that I focus on. Means rejected applications, judicial reviews in federal court. Obviously, express entry, it's the way to come to Canada. So I do a lot of express entry, work permits, and so on. So take a look at our website, take a look at our blogs, take a look here to speak with a lawyer. And on that note, I'm going to wish you a wonderful weekend. I hope everyone gets an ITA soon. And I'll catch you next time, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:30 a.m. at Toronto time.